Boom saw! After an incredibly long day filming, rewarding at the same time, it is time for the wrap party of 2. And we're going to our favorite place we've already been, Cigar City Brewery. Because when you're in Tampa, there's only one choice. That sounds like a crappy commercial. Let's go have a beer.
Not bad.
We've made terrible decisions. We're having some pizza.
Lots of pizza.
What was your menu? Tampa Moss. A guy we know. We're calling him Tampa Moss. New York pizza in Hyde Park, Tampa, Florida. So we're having some slices. We're going to talk about the GH5. I happen to have it right here.
We do. Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of want to go over some of our issues, thoughts, in using the GH5 in a professional production environment. This isn't just like shooting simple low-level stuff. This is like us approaching it from doing a high-end commercial. We had a red Dragon, Red Scarlet, GH5, GoPros, whatever. A lot of specialty shots involved, so we used lots of different stuff. We took the camera and made it work for what we needed it to do. So what are your thoughts initially on the GH5 as you have pizza in your mouth?
Initial thoughts are very good. Easy to use, easy to take wherever we need to take it. Very skeptical about the battery situation originally. We worked out the battery situation today, actually.
Yeah.
Really got to test the battery to its full extent. Thought we were going to run out of battery during the interview. Didn't even come close. Interview was over, now we're long. 1080p, no 4K. 4K definitely will eat the battery longer, but you know, we were still worried, but highly impressed it made it through.
Let's talk about button placement.
Yes, that's where I was going to go.
So, I'm going to let it focus. The button placement, my issue is this whole scenario right here. As an operator, my hand wraps around the camera, and those button placements just don't work for me. So I'm often shooting like this, and I know that like there's been other people talking about it. Like I saw Casey Neistat's video too, but like other people talking about this display button is kind of problematic when you're shooting, right? You're shooting like this, and your thumb happens to land on that button. It's happened to me multiple times, and I'm constantly hitting the button on and off. That's a little problematic. Not a big fan of that element of it.
Not a fan of any of the buttons on the back, honestly.
Yeah, frankly, like this whole area I wish was blank. I know it's a DSLR, and I know we're being very picky.
Now, from a stills photographer, the back is great.
Right. Which is
Video-wise,
maybe what they're pitching for, right?
Probably is. And it is digital SLR.
One of the major issues is that we have from a production standpoint is the fact that the buttons on the back aren't necessarily production friendly. And we're comparing that to something that we know very well, like whether we're using an Alexa, which is the best button layout on the planet,
Agreed.
or we're using a Red, which has that, you know, for the most part has 2 buttons, aside from the funky touchscreen menu, which
is terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible, and we inevitably
For
screw up.
fat-fingered people.
Yeah, if you have a fat finger, it's made for pinkies. The menu system and stuff is very easy to use, but the buttons on the back have caused us a little bit of turmoil throughout the shoot.
Dealing with an Alexa and a Red before, you know, and doing those menus constantly, it's so much easier. And Alexa does have the best menu system on the planet. But it's a good one. It's not bad for digital SLR. It's very good.
Again, we're not talking about buttons. We're talking about the actual menu interface.
Yes. Which in this you have to go to menu, then you have to scroll down, and then, you know, like a digital SLR.
My biggest concern is the white balance element. I'm not a huge fan of the white balance.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just dial it in very easily. This is
Well, you
so far
can.
for us, it feels like a little bit of a convoluted process.
It takes a couple setups because you have to set up a custom white balance.
So from an AC standpoint, where do you put this as far as a production camera? Again, we're talking about bringing this into your kit and treating it like a film camera. And I don't mean a stills camera. I mean like a film, a digital cinema camera is what I should say. we want to treat this like a digital cinema camera. How does that work out for you?
I'd put it with the A7S too,
Yeah.
where it's top of the digital SLRs, but still below, just from the actual interface and how it works, below Red and Alexa, Blackmagic, all the video film cameras.
And that's just from functionality of touching the camera, right?
Just functionalities.
For a client, we shot a good bit of interview footage with some minor B-roll, very light B-roll today. Now, previous days, it was heavy B-roll. We were using this a lot. It was a workhorse. And if you've seen our previous video, I'll post a link up there somewhere, wherever it goes. If you've seen any of that, you've seen that it matches the Red brilliantly, right?
Yes.
It's an amazing camera in that capacity. We don't want to take away from it one bit. Today, we shot more interview stuff, and it was long form interview. It was like 2.5 hours of content that we had to capture. So 2 things. One, let's talk about the battery life. So I remember changing the battery or having a conversation about shifting the battery. 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 20 minutes is really accurate. 2 hours and 20 minutes with 3 5-minute breaks. It ran constant. So the segments were running really long if you take that into consideration.
Yep.
Long segments. We changed the battery one time. Now,
Okay.
granted, there was a little bit of shift because we did decide to shoot 1080 just because we knew we weren't finishing this in 4K.
Exactly. And 4K will take more battery power.
Yeah, so frankly, that wasn't running it till it was dead. That was running it until it was
We have 1 bar left.
And that was using the original battery.
Yep.
We've since switched to the Polaroid. We have these Polaroid batteries here. And they're fine. They did what they needed to do, and they work pretty well. But the battery box on the bottom might change things a good bit. It'd be amazing. We talked about this. It'd be amazing if there were a gimmick that connected to this and allowed us to mount an Anton Bauer battery. So when we put on a shoulder mount, we can just change it off of a brick, V-mount battery, whatever you want to use.
What also counterbalances.
It would be nice to counterbalance it all day.
Another disappointment to me, but it's a flaw of digital SLRs, is the monitor.
Telling you,
camera.
Right. We're just telling you exactly what we went through on a production that was treated more like a film than anything else. Like, one of the other great things that we've really enjoyed about using the GH5 in a production setting has been the small footprint. Now, that's to say that one of the pluses for us is that, you know, one of our locations was the St. Petersburg market, Saturday market, and we got our film permit from St. Petersburg, and we got permission to film from the St. Petersburg market. But one of our concerns was if we brought a large camera in, we would attract attention to the camera. Not necessarily our talent, but to the camera itself.
Yes.
So what we decided to do was use this guy instead, use the GH5, go into the market. We had 2 lenses, right?
Had that lens, vintage lens, and a shotgun light.
Mounted on the top.
Shotgun mount.
Right. So we had a nice little small production package, and it allowed us to go into the market, get the shots we needed for this concept, and get in, get out very easily without attracting a lot of attention. And frankly, we were shooting 4K, so at the end of the day, we had beautiful images from a small little package that allowed us in and out very quickly, very efficiently, without drawing the attention that we didn't want to have.
Exactly.
So the footprint is a big deal to us because it allows it to go smaller. So overall, what would you say? What do you think?
I love the camera, and I would suggest using it on pretty much anything.
Yeah, for me, it's become, I think it's a must-have. I think every filmmaker, every cinematographer, whatever you might call yourself, every DP should reach out and have one of these cameras. I would own one. Now, we're saying that without buyer's remorse or buyer's investment.
Yeah,
we did
don't
not buy
own it.
this camera. We rented it to test it, and we always rent cameras before we buy them just to make sure they work for what we need. And for us, I'm saying now that the GH5 is a must-have. I think it is a must-have camera for any filmmaker, just because the versatility it's going to allow you in so many different situations. Truly, even if it was just for location scouting on a feature, I would argue for it. It's a better viewfinder.
Still have to have it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a better viewfinder than you could ever come across, especially if you're using something like this, like a 12 to 60 lens.
Yes.
So there you have it. Our opinion of the GH5 is it's a must-have. It's a fantastic camera. We've put it through its paces twice now. We did a mock-up test, and now we've done physical real world tests with it, and it is truly
Yeah.
a must-have. Awesome, fantastic camera. I'm sure you've seen some of the footage. We'll show more as you go. Our partner on this spot was a company called Revolution After Dust Off. If you have a chance, check them out. I'm sure some of the footage will show up there before we can show it. So you should check them out, and you make the determination